Hi, everyone. I am very excited to see how many people registered for this webinar. Welcome. I'm going to make the most of your half an hour with me, so we will jump in. I just want to make sure you can hear me. If you can pop in the chat or, yeah, just let me know if you can hear me and see my slides. Love to hear from you. Why don't you let me know where you're coming in from and how, yeah, like how you're going today. Oh, is a Q&A all good? Is the chat box not working? Anonymous attendee, that might be why I'm not getting anything in the chat. That's something to look into next time. All right, great. You can hear me. Chat disabled. I'll just write this down so that next webinar that does not happen. All right, let's get started. This is a hot topic, as you all know. We all want to know how to safely use AI in our medical practice, whether you are in medical or in allied health. Hi, Tanya. Very happy to have you here from Tasmania. And I'm sure we've got people from all around Australia, so welcome again. All right, we're going to talk about a how-to guide of like how to legally and ethically leverage AI in your medical practice or allied health clinic, because it is such a hot topic at the moment. And we've had a number of clients coming to us asking for our support with this. So we wanted to give away some information on it and make sure that people feel confident in navigating this change to practice. But, you know, you would be disappointed if I didn't do a disclaimer, because I am a lawyer. This presentation is for general guidance only, and please do take legal advice in relation to specific issues if you're planning on taking specific actions in your practice, or if you already have taken specific actions, it might be worth getting some advice. My name is Sarah Bartholomeusz. I am the principal of a law firm called U Legal. We work with medical and allied health practices to protect their practices. So it's really my mission to work to protect practices so that legal issues don't arise down the line. I'm so passionate about this because I come from a medical family. Even though I'm a lawyer, I'm the black sheep in my family of doctors, surgeons, dentists, allied health professionals, nurses, all sorts in my family. So yes, I am a little bit unusual, but it is a real driving force for me to want to protect people who run medical and health businesses, because you underpin the health of all of us in Australia. So it's a big vision that we've got to try and support you guys. All right, so intro. Look, as many of you know, all of you know, AI is one of the most transformative developments in recent years. It's really the potential for its impact and the impact that it's already having in medical and health is profound. AI tools like Heidi and different competitors offer substantial benefits, from optimizing operational efficiency and also enhancing diagnostic accuracy. However, AI, like all new innovations, comes with risks and certain legal and ethical considerations that you might not have thought about yet, and do require some careful navigation. In this presentation, what I hope to do is explore why medical and allied health practices are beginning to use AI, what it can do, and also consider the risks that this can present for your practice and patients or clients, and how you might best navigate these challenges. This webinar is for you. You've probably registered on the basis that you are a practice manager or owner of a health or medical practice. You're curious or considering implementing AI tools, and you are in your business and you want to understand the legal and ethical implications of doing so, you're currently using AI and need guidance on the best practice for compliance and risk management, wish to improve operational efficiencies and patient care by using AI while ensuring adherence to regulatory privacy standards. You want to stay updated on the latest regulations, guidelines, and ethical principles related to the use of AI in healthcare, and or you're committed to integrating AI responsibly and legally in your business. I was thinking about asking you to select which one applies to you, but I realized as I was going through that list, it may well be multiples. You might fall into multiple categories here. I've just been asked if the webinar will be available on the conclusion. Yes, we'll send it out to you. We'll send an email to everyone who's registered and attach this so you can share this with other people in your practice and other colleagues that you think might find it useful. All right, I'll move on. So how can you use AI in your practice? You might be wondering. You might have been already playing around with ChatGPT, but the opportunities do seem endless at this stage. While AI can be used for diagnosing and analysing scans and samples for some of our clients, they're doing this and creating that AI technology themselves. One of the most common ways we're seeing practices use it is to streamline routine administrative and clinical tasks. And this can have various benefits, including allowing doctors to focus more on patient care and also reducing costs as well, which in healthcare at the moment, everybody's interested in doing, aren't they? The costs seem to have gone up significantly. So one of the most popular platforms among our clients is Heidi. And look, I didn't reach out to Heidi before mentioning them today, but hopefully they will find it flattering. We've seen other platforms like Olive AI, Tempus, Path AI, Zebra Medical Vision, and AI Doc. If you're using one, feel free to pop it in the chat. I'd love to see the different options that people are already using in their practice. If they're willing to share, you can be anonymous if you prefer, yeah, let us know. It's a topic that we see talked about in the Facebook groups we're in a bit too. So I'll have a quick chat to you about Heidi in case you aren't using a platform and you're curious to know how they might work, because I'm sure many of them have similar functions. So Liz is using Lyrebird Health. That's a different one. So that's great. Thanks, Liz. So Heidi is an AI-powered platform designed to streamline various aspects of medical practice, from your administrative tasks to clinical decision-making support. And by leveraging machine learning algorithms, Heidi can assist with scribing and creating referral letters. The goal is to enhance efficiency, reduce errors, and ultimately improve patient outcomes, something we're all about. Sorry, Natalie. Yes, the chat is disabled, but you can pop your comments in the question and answer. For some reason, that's working. MAIS Scribe. So really, just from hearing from you guys and the list that I've given, there's so many different options, aren't there? But great that you're already kind of trying things, because sometimes when there is a wealth of choice, you can be stuck in a bit of a paradox, like, of trying to make the right decision. Oh, Natalie, you started out with Lyrebird and now you're using Heidi. So you've had experience with different platforms, which is great to be able to, to share and compare as well. So this is the market landscape, which we're already talking about. Heidi might be a prominent platform, but there are several competitors offering very similar AI-driven capabilities. So there are various focuses that these platforms have, like administrative support or diagnostic support, and sometimes both. The scope for AI to assist is vast, but unfortunately, so are the potential problems and unwanted outcomes. It also necessitates adherence to best practices to mitigate risks and ensure compliance with legal, regulatory, and ethical standards. Somebody else using Heidi, so it's certainly a popular popular platform. So considerations and challenges, this is what you're here for. I guess potential issue for all of us to be aware of is that there's risks and unwanted outcomes. Best practice is making sure that you're focusing on adhering to legal, regulatory, and ethical standards and compliance with specific requirements within Australia. And many of our clients actually have staff that aren't based in Australia. So familiarising yourself with maybe the issues in the countries that they're working from. So another thing in this considerations and challenges is that sometimes AI can, what's called in tech language, hallucinate, so it can make things up. And I've seen that in using an AI scribe in a Zoom meeting where the AI scribe just went completely off script and created actions for the meeting that no one had talked about. And so being aware of you using that human intelligence where you need to, and not just assuming that the AI is going to get it right every time. How to use AI safely in your practice. So I'm going to do a bit more of a deep dive into the legal considerations, since that's my area after all. So privacy and consent. In relation to privacy, the use of AI in healthcare does raise various concerns with data privacy and security, which is a hot topic. We've seen breaches in our industry. Medibank is one, and then of course the iScribe, which is now closed, so they couldn't continue after their data breach. But as you know, I'm sure in Australia, personal information is protected under the Privacy Act, as well as in additional obligations under some state and territory legislation. There's also increased protection obligations for sensitive information, which does include health information, and therefore it's particularly relevant for healthcare providers to consider when using AI in their practice. The more data that you put into AI, the greater the risk and privacy issues that might arise. And you would have seen from the iScribe crisis, in a way, that was the government approved platform, and they still experienced that data breach. But your privacy policy as a medical practice or allied health practice should be updated to contemplate the use of AI if it hasn't been already. This can help your patients and other users understand how AI and their data will be used in their care, and assists in protecting the practice and helping it comply with the privacy obligations from the Privacy Act, which as a medical or health practice, you automatically need to be working on, because you do receive that sensitive information as described by the Act. So if you didn't know, most businesses need to be having a turnover of $3 million or over before they are caught by the provisions of the Privacy Act. But as health professionals, because of the information that you obtain, you do need a privacy policy. And look, if you're a GP, you've automatically got one or created one as part of your accreditation. But other health and medical practices don't necessarily have the framework that accreditation provides. So it's always important to remind people. It's also to consider the AI platform's policies. And we saw this when people started using online booking systems like HotDoc, that they needed to think about their privacy policy, because HotDoc were getting that information. So looking at the platform's policy, but then also looking at your policy and see how they interact with each other. I guess, for example, Heidi is considered APP compliant and is committed to the Australian privacy principles. So having a look at whatever it is that you're using to make sure that it's compliant with your practice, with your policies. If you're unsure, it's worth investigating whether the privacy policies and terms of service of the AI platform are up to scratch in meeting the necessary standards and will not expose your practice to risk. This will also help cross off the T's and dot the I's when it comes to using the AI platform only as it's intended to be used. So, for example, some platforms may require you to maintain complete and accurate records and documents regarding your use of the platform. Got a comment from Anonymous that you use Heidi, but it doesn't link directly to your medical software. You copy and paste the note in and edit. The note it writes only has the patient's first name, so no other details are saved. I would have thought this is mostly de-identified information. It does sound like it without being able to give you specific advice. It sounds like that's a good practice to be really reviewing those notes. Claire says, do you have any tips or previous webinars on creating a privacy policy in specialist practice? Claire, feel free to reach out to me afterwards. We have done quite a lot on this, so we can send you some links afterwards. So just reply to any of those emails you were getting about the webinar, and I can send you information on that. Obtaining consent is very hard for my patient demographic who largely have a cognitive decline and have a guardian who does not come to the appointment, or maybe the OPA. Any tips? I think that's one to reach out to me on as well, because it's absolutely critical for you to obtain consent. So I'll talk about that a little bit more now. It is important to consider if you're obtaining patient consent before putting a patient's personal and sensitive information into an AI platform. This may be mandatory in your state, but in any case, it's best practice. It should form part of your terms of service, the standard informed consent process, and should be documented in the patient record. You may also wish to consider updating your patient consent forms or new patient registration forms to include this information. Transparency is always important, and patients will want to be informed about the use of AI in their care. Depending on the AI software used, this may include explaining what it does, how it will influence their treatment, and/or any potential risks or benefits. This would be particularly important when it's used in diagnostic treatment or decisions. AI should support and not undermine the patient's right to make informed decisions about their care. Remember that recording a conversation without someone's consent can also have criminal consequences. It can have criminal consequences in some states for even somebody who hasn't been part of it listening to that conversation. So it's really something to be very aware of. You might find that your MDO actually requires written consent for these recorded conversations. And speaking of MDOs, I do recommend touching base with them before you start using an AI tool in your practice to see whether they have any suggestions or recommendations before you launch into it head on, if you are using it to do that now, just to be sure. Employment and AI policies. So you might wish to include an AI clause in employment agreements or services agreements if the employee or contractor will be using AI as part of their work. Particularly for employees, a clause like this could specify the roles and responsibility of the employee concerning AI tools. This clause could also clarify liability in the event of errors or issues arising from the use of AI, which could help protect both the practitioner and the practice. However, it would be prudent to draft any clause in a way that makes it applicable and relevant as AI and technology advance. Having an organisational policy in place to regulate the use of AI in your clinic or practice can ensure that AI is used in accordance with your practice's values and allows more flexibility, as a policy can be updated as the technology advances, and it's more easy to update than a contract. Regulatory compliance. So the key takeaway regarding regulatory compliance is to keep abreast of evolving regulations and guidelines related to AI in healthcare. As we know, this area is developing very quickly, and so are the regulations and the way that it's legislated about. So it might include, for example, signing up for newsletters. If you haven't already subscribed to the legal one, we are regularly doing updates that are relevant for this. Or regularly checking for updates from regulatory bodies and adapting your practices accordingly. Another one to sign up for is the Digital Health Agency, because they have various priorities and initiatives underway regarding the plan for emerging technology like AI. It's important to be aware of any updates from the ADHA and other similar agencies that might affect your practice. Establishing connections and relationships with legal experts can also help you navigate complex regulatory and legal landscapes, and they can help with reviewing and updating your policies as needed as well. So ethical considerations, because in business, you can't separate yourself from the ethical considerations. You do need to be doing the right thing. When I'm doing training on running businesses, you need to be thinking about what you must do. So that's the regulatory side. And then thinking about what you can do using AI is one of those things, but then what you should do is the ethical side of that. And it's important to remember that healthcare practitioners still have existing obligations and ethical duties regarding patient care. They generally don't want to expose themselves to potential claims of negligence by accepting AI's results, but a diagnostic decision without confirming this and independently assessing it. Similarly, practitioners should be upholding core ethical principles such as promoting patients' autonomy and ensuring equitable access to AI technological advances. Medical practices and practitioners should seek to know and apply the Australian AI ethics principles. While these are voluntary principles, they're very important given AI systems used in healthcare have the potential to significantly impact client outcomes in certain circumstances. These principles emphasize transparency, accountability, fairness, privacy protection, and security, and individual well-being. Following these principles is likely to lead to benefits, including increased trust, loyalty, and improved patient outcomes as well. Oh dear. Here we go. All right, we've discussed quite a few of these key principles, so these are relevant for the professional obligations, but it's important to reiterate how important it is to keep meeting the professional obligations in each board's code of conduct as technology advances. So this is unfortunately a reminder that I have to give, but artificial intelligence is not a lawyer. So you might have heard in mid-2023, which feels like a long time ago now, I guess it was a year ago, there was a lawyer in the US who used ChatGPT to submit federal court filings, which included citing 6 cases, and those cases did not exist. So I mentioned earlier that AI can, and this is the technical term, hallucinate. And we expect that there are many, many legal cases to come where parties have used AI to create agreements, policies, or documents that may cause a lot of pain and consternation in the future and considerable cost to defend. So, you know, a free lawyer is not a lawyer. In my view, really strongly recommend, it won't surprise you, getting professional advice when you need it and not leaving it in the hands of a robot. ChatGPT does give a note saying, you know, we're not lawyers, please get professional advice, and we strongly recommend that you adhere to that because some documents that it's created that we've seen are quite alarming. So just a warning, you would have been disappointed if we hadn't mentioned it. So I want to go through a case study. We've got about 5 minutes to go. We had a client come to us who was running a psychology practice and looking to use Heidi and other AI applications. Like a lot of our clients, they weren't exactly sure which specific applications they would be. So they knew they wanted to implement them. They just didn't know which ones at that stage they would be. And that was fine. They wanted to use AI to record, analyze, and transcribe their sessions, but didn't know where to start with making changes in their practices documents to ensure they were doing this legally and ethically. In this instance, we updated their privacy policy to ensure it effectively covered their proposed use of AI applications as well as their terms of service as well. They were particularly grateful they had come to us because we were able to speak to them about matters like consent and their proposal to record using AI tools, and alert them to what they may need to be checking about in an AI application's compliance with the Australian privacy principles. Heidi AI does indeed consider itself APP compliant. However, it was important for them, as it would be for you, to make yourselves sure of this before implementing it in your practice. We were delighted to be able to help and instill a level of confidence in our client to use these applications, benefiting our client and, of course, their patients. All right, conclusion. So I've just got a good question before I do this. So does verbal consent suffice, or is it required to have written consent from clients to use AI assistance for notes? Ideally, this would be included in our general consent form. I can't give you specific legal advice on this session, so feel free to reach out to me afterwards, but I'd need to understand the context a little bit more, but thanks for your question. Okay, now so in conclusion, we're going to remember after today that we really encourage you to embrace AI, but to think about the legal and ethical implementations of it in your practice. All right, so what's next then? Next step, so consider how you start evaluating and implementing these strategies in your clinic, and also think about whether you need legal advice and documentation support, i.e. updating your privacy policy or purchasing YouLegal's AI policy. So this is a new policy we've developed after working with a number of clients on this issue. It's in our fast track solutions. We'll send a link to it in the follow-up email. But if you purchase our policy before close of business tomorrow, we'll send you a copy of my book that you can see me reading there, and also a YouLegal tea towel. I'll sign the book for you so that you have a signed version as well. We know that you'll get a lot of benefit from implementing that into your practice. Now, Tapraya, beautiful name, has asked, ADHA doesn't give specific examples of AI. There's only one search result and it relates to genome research. What's the obligation on companies to, like Heidi, to inform us of any legislature updates or government recommendations? Heidi is not obliged to provide you with that information, which is why I'm suggesting on signing up for things, it might be that you ask your professionals association to continue to provide that update, or sign up to our website and listen to podcasts, all the things that you already do for your other obligations like Fair Work. The groups are a great resource on Facebook for people who are constantly giving updates on these issues. But yeah, you'll need to do that in your own and I'm sure Heidi will provide you with updates, but they don't have any obligation to do so. So this is how we work with clients, just to give you an update, and I'll also explain a bit more about the AI policy for you shortly. I will get it up on the screen actually. Oh, here we go. All right. So we like to work with clients that we can nurture, protect, and allow them to have the impact that they would like to in their business. So that's a bit of background about us. Let me get the fast track solution up for you. Oh, I think this is the best screen to put it on so you can see it. Can you see that? No. I'm not sure if you can see it. Anyway, I will be able to scroll down. So it's designed for you to use to make sure that you're responsibly using AI in your practice, and provides you with information on, not with information, it provides a framework for a policy that your employees and contractors will need to comply with to ensure that AI is being used ethically and legally within your practice. And it's not a document that we anticipate needs to be updated. It's updated hugely regularly, but it will fit within your existing policy framework to ensure that you're properly protected. I was trying to give you a link to it, but I will put that in the email for you. We're just over time, but I will answer this question. Historically, legal advice that you've received has been along the lines of it's safer not to use it to completely avoid the risks. But with programs such as Heidi stating it to be compliance with APP and other governance, struggle to see the risk in using it along as it does responsibly with client consent and clinicians edit notes appropriately. What risks do you see with using Heidi for notes? That's another one maybe to reach out for. Oh, great. Thank you to Prior. You can't see it. Another one to reach out for separately, but there's risks in using any new tool in your practice. But yep, very happy to engage on this topic. As you can see, it's one that I'm very passionate about. I'm going to stop sharing, and look, if you do have any more questions, pop them in the question box and I'll answer what I can. Otherwise, we'll reach out to you and you can ask questions more privately if you like. Thanks for coming along. I'm keen to do more webinars, and so love to hear from you about topics that are hot topics in the industry. I've got a few ideas, of course, for doing one of these a month, but love to hear what you would like to learn more about. And thanks for coming along today. It was a great session to be in touch with you all. No more questions popping up. So, oh, thank you, Angela. Thanks for coming. So I'll end the broadcast now and look forward to being in touch with you later. Thanks. Bye.